Alright guys, this is a bit of a starting point for the chassis. I apologize, but I missed when it initially arrived at the shop just in bare metal from Art Morrison. So basically what Aaron does at that point is he lays out all the hard lines and he drills and taps all the holes for the hard lines. And then he tears the chassis completely down and it comes to powder coat, which is where it is right now. So once it gets a powder coat, they media blast it, and then they get ready to spray it and send it through the powder coat process. So here we're just getting a quick look at basically ground zero for the chassis. It's completely tore down and media blasted just before powder coat. But again, the only step we missed at the shop was it arriving assembled in bare metal from Art Morrison, and Aaron just laying out the hard lines and drilling and tapping the holes for those. Here you can see they got the chassis hung on the rack, getting it ready for powder coat. Alright guys, you can see the chassis is freshly back from powder coat. Always makes for a really nice finish. You can get the powder coat in custom colors, and we do still offer to paint the chassis here at the shop. The kind of standard procedure is to have them powder coated, and we do still paint the A-arms and the 4-bar suspension pieces so we don't have to press out the bushings. So at this point, with the chassis powder coated, we can begin the assembly process. Alright guys, the chassis is back from powder coat and in the shop, and Aaron has just started mounting the brake lines here. So now the holes were pre-drilled when it was in bare metal. That part we missed, but now it came back from powder coat, and you just had to clean out the holes of the powder coat.
Basically, the first step is getting all the lines mocked up and tightened down, and go from there, basically. It makes it nice to do this pre-powder coat so that everything is ensured fits properly. All that stuff can get done in bare when the frame is bare.
So there's pass-throughs for the chassis.
Yeah, there's pass-throughs on the back of the chassis, and then we have two that are on each driver passenger side that we have to drill and ensure fit. Okay. Basically, those just snap right in there, and then once we get the front line crossed in here, we'll get that fitting on there.
Okay, you can see Aaron's got the brake lines all ran on the powder coated chassis. He's just starting to assemble the front suspension, got the upper and lower A-arms, getting the steering rack in there. See the lines on the back here. So Justin is about to start working on the motor and transmission combo. So we got the 4L60E trans. And this is a 495 horse LS3 from GM Performance. So this is what they look like in their stock format. Exhaust manifolds, your factory oil pan. So we will be doing ultimate headers, and it will also be receiving a Holley oil pan swap. We'll show that here in the future. But for today, Justin will be installing the Holley front drive kit. So he has that all laid out here. Alright, you can see Justin's got the stock oil pan off. Alright, you can see Aaron getting the lower arms and the spindles mounted up here.
We got the mock-up bars that we put in here that we build our cars off of to make sure the ride height's correct.
Okay.
And basically, I'm ready to add the front sway bar and torque everything, and that'll do it for the front suspension.
Getting the sway bar mounted up. You normally go through the middle hole.
Yeah, I usually start in the middle, and then I usually leave these, you know, kind of in between, and then that way when your ride height's set, a guy can go back and adjust them where they need to be. Kind of the recipe that we have here.
Okay.
So one of the things that I make sure to do after sandblast is make sure, because there's a seam in here, is get all of the sand and foreign materials out of the inside of the housing. You can see how much sand and also metal material from actually making the housing in the press there. So it's important to get all that stuff out of there before final assembly. So when I do this, I make sure that I spray on the back side of all these bearing races here from inside and out, and then all around the inside of the housing, or the inside of the housing here, very thoroughly, getting all the foreign material out. And then once finished, blow it out with air to where it's nice and dry. And that pretty much is it.
Right, so Tony is about to install the wiring kit, the wiring harness we should say, from GM. So this is for the engine and for the transmission. All right, guys, we're just going to jump in with Aaron here as he's putting together the Willwood brakes.
So one thing that you have to pay attention to when you're putting these together is make sure you can see right here these shims. There's a lot of different sizes that come with the brake kits, and you got to make sure that that's shimmed properly to where you have, you know, the same amount of space on each side of the rotor. And this here is a passenger side that's already assembled, and you can see the space in between this is equal, and that's kind of what you want to shoot for when you're shimming your brakes. Nice equal surface there. So it's a good idea. We recommend to use and it only takes a little bit of thread lock here on the end of your threads to ensure that you have a good tight bolt fastener after required 45 pounds torque. Okay. See, and that, are you recording? Sorry. So that is going to require more shims. As you can see, that's rubbing, and that already has one shim on the top and bottom. Good to go there. You can see the clearance is equal on each side on the top and bottom there. All right.
That's mine.
Down just now you can work with that.
Yeah.
Aaron's got third member going in.
Anytime that I ever install these, I always make sure to use a light amount. You could use RVT. I like to use Right Stuff all the way around the bearing surface. Just to make sure that you don't have any leaks. There we go.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. It's like it was just a regular rig before and after they started. Dirt track truck. Just got a freaking dirt truck. Dirt track truck. Dirt truck. I love seeing the cars all like started looking in the parking lot, you know, someone trying hard to make a flip it, it didn't happen. And you see them, you make eye contact, and I would say the same thing. See,
All right.
Aaron getting the rear disc brakes installed. So just tightening up the rear sway bar. Final step of the process.
All right. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this one, but I put a little dab on the top right here. Can't really get in there, but just to show it's torqued. Yeah.
So you can see that after Aaron torques everything, he marks every bolt, nut and bolt to show that it's been torqued. Alright, here's a quick look at the finalized chassis. Justin is working on getting the Chevelle body off from the stock chassis right now. So pretty soon we'll be able to mock up the body on the Morrison chassis. Alright guys, thanks for checking things out. We'll be back soon with a continuation of the Chevelle project.